So I have said many times that turbocharging is my favorite and I think probably the best form of forced induction. So why did I put a supercharger on the RX-7? Oh hey, you're probably wondering what I'm doing right now. Well, I'm just sitting here enjoying my brand new Jack Black merch. Link is in the description below. We got hoodies, we got shirts, we got stickers. Okay, bye now. So yes, I do think that turbocharging is probably the best form of forced induction for anything, really, and I'll explain why. First off, it uses the exhaust gases, so you're basically recycling. You're using wasted energy to spin something to create energy. Think of it as a dam using water to generate electricity, to send to your house, to charge your wife's dildo. Probably shouldn't have said that. No, but for real, turbos are amazing. I know that there's a lot of people that prefer like the big root style blower sticking through the hood, just fucking rumbling the whole car, and that stuff's sweet. But if we're talking just power per dollar, I think that turbochargers, they're unmatched. I think some of the nitrous guys will kind of argue that, but I think as far as boost goes, turbos cannot be beat. For the most part. Most of you guys know how turbos work. Exhaust gas spins the turbine, which spins the compressor, forces air into the engine, and then the engine just goes Popeye spinach arms and just fucking forces horsepower through the transmission. So basically it's free real estate, you know, it's free horsepower, which is why I love turbos. And they come in all shapes and sizes. You can go anywhere from this $260 eBay turbo, and they get even cheaper than that, to this almost $1,000 VS Racing turbo. And then you can go all the way up to some of the precision turbos and like forced inductions or whatever some of the other one are, bullseyes, that are $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. So I think turbo, as far as like entry-level stuff, it can be super affordable. Like that $260 eBay turbo has gone 9.5 in the quarter. So I think turbos just have an amazing value. However, I think that there are definitely some cases where a centrifugal supercharger has pretty good advantages and definitely things to consider. Now, I think the biggest drawback of them is the cost. Now, luckily I got mine used, so it wasn't, you know, $6,000. It was $1,500, which is still crazy to me, because the entire turbo kit that was on the car I built for probably like $900, really. But let's get to the meat of the potatoes here. Why did I switch the car from turbo to a centrifugal supercharger? Well, there's actually a number of reasons, but I'll tell you the actual deciding factor for me was just variety. Not only variety in just my personal cars, because the Monte Carlo is getting that VS Racing turbo. The Fiero ended up deciding to put a turbo on that. So I wanted this one to feel a little bit different, and just variety for the YouTube channel. If we have 30 cars that are turbo LS, that gets kind of boring and repetitive and people start to lose interest. But if we take the turbo off one, slap, I don't know, say a supercharger on it, people are like, all right, yeah, that's kind of different. That's fun. That's cool. And I agree. I completely agree. It's fun to just do things that aren't that common. So that is the big reason, is just variety is the spice of life. So now as far as actual performance, let's get into that a little bit more. So one of the biggest things with this car is, unless I cut it up, which I don't really want to do more than I already have, I'm kind of limited on the tire. The most I can fit right now without just beating the heck out of stuff is a 255 radial or an 8.5-inch slick. And those are already rubbing pretty good. So that kind of limits some things. And I don't have like any traction control or anything like that on the car. So one of the things that I was seeing with the turbo was about 1.5 to 2 seconds into the run, it would be at full boost already, especially with that one. With the bigger one, maybe not, but I'm trying to leave on as much as I can and put as much power down as I can. So it was overpowering those tires a lot. Now, that's not to say that that couldn't have been remedied with, you know, timing retard, pulling some of the boost. It's got a pretty good Mac valve on it. I could have bled that down a lot. There's a bunch of stuff that I could have done. But I think that based on the RPM that things are going to want to be at, the tire, the chassis, suspension, things like that, with the centrifugal supercharger, I would be able to leave a little bit softer, but it's still a light enough car that it'll get moving pretty good. It should still be able to do like a 1.3, 1.4, 60 foot. I'm hoping, fingers crossed. We still got to do a bunch of testing, so a lot of this is just kind of up in the air at this point. And it'll make all the power on the top end, which I'm fine with. Small tire racing, a lot of the stuff you want to do is top end anyway. Like, you're kind of limited on takeoff. If you look at like the dig or die guys, it looks like they're just taking off at 20 miles an hour until they get out there and they can start to really make some steam, you know, like a 1.6, 1.7 60 foot is what some of those look like. I might just be talking on my ass. I don't know. I haven't seen their data. So the thought is with this, I can leave somewhat soft, not just overpower the tire or anything like that, and then just really make some steam on the top end, which is where I want to make most of my power. I don't care about a bunch of low end torque. If I can get it to leave at like 3,500 on a couple pounds of boost and then just ramp that in real predictably, that's perfect. That's awesome. So yeah, to sum it all up, I think that the car will be able to leave a lot better. And to kind of go hand in hand with being able to leave, the staging procedure is night and day. I think one of the things that's most frustrating about staging a turbo car is building the boost. So especially like in more of like a stressful situation, like at the track, it's whatever, especially at a test and tune. You can wait, 5 minutes for it to be green and then take off. Who cares? You'll still run your time. But on the street, or even at an actual track event, when you're trying to get staged and everything, sometimes shit just happens, Not to say that shit can't happen with this too, but when you pull up there, get on the brake, start building boost, and then having to bump in, or in my case, I was on a foot brake. Sometimes that can take 5, 7, I've seen 10 seconds before, and that puts a lot of heat in the transmission and the converter, and it wears those out a lot quicker than you would like. And sometimes just weird stuff can happen, like a Mac valve can have issues, it'll get stuck or something, and it won't make the boost, or it'll make too much boost. I mean, I'm still going to be dealing with that on the Monte Carlo, so don't think that, I think this is a cure-all, but I think that this will be a whole lot easier to stage. Just pull in, get on the brake, hit the gas, and you're there, because it's just boost with RPM. So it's just whatever I set it at, that's where we're at, let's go. I think it'll just make things a lot easier, a lot more predictable. I could be wrong on that, but that's just how I feel. I think it'll just be a lot more predictable, because it'll just be set the two-step at this RPM, and there you go. And then if it's like a real crappy surface, I can still pull timing or things like that. So those are the first, 2 or 3 reasons. And the next one, kind of childishly, is they just sound cool, man. Listening to a supercharger whine, I think they just sound cool. I think turbo whistles are cool too, but a supercharger whine just kind of hits different. So yeah, just kind of to sum it all up, basically I think that for this car and for the stuff that I want to do with it, a supercharger just might work a little bit better, because like I said, we're limited on tire size, so 255 radial or a 8.5 inch slick, which when you think about it, that's 4 inches of rubber that I'm giving up with this car. So it should make it a lot easier to not overpower the tires, first of all. Second, variety. These 2 cars are going to be turbo, so it'll be nice to change things up here and there. It should be much easier to get down the street, and it should be much easier to stage the car. It should be just pull in, get on the brake, get on the gas, and you're there, ready to go. Which I'm really hoping will help keep heat down in the transmission a lot. Because there have been a couple times where, and I'll admit, I'm not the greatest tuner, but I feel like I can figure things out pretty good usually. But there have been a couple times where I've been on the two-step for like 8 to 10 seconds, and I'm just like, man, this poor transmission. Sometimes that just happens, But that's not to say that these don't have their downsides too. I'm not saying these are perfect at all, because I know that someone's going to come in here and think that I'm shitting on turbos and roots blowers and things like that, saying centrifugals are the best. Not at all the case. Quite the contrast from when I was talking about turbos at the beginning, how they're free real estate. These actually cost quite a bit of power. They are outrageously parasitic, to me at least, because I'm a turbo guy. So I think the best example of this was in preparation of filming this. I watched one of Richard Holdner's videos comparing centrifugal supercharger, turbocharger. The centrifugal made like 1,050 at 21 pounds of boost, I think it was. And the turbo on 16 pounds of boost, 15 or 16 pounds of boost, made the same power. So you see what I'm saying? Very parasitic. Not a huge deal, but definitely a downside to it. You can still, you're still making 1,000 horsepower at 20 pounds of boost, But sure, if you turn the turbo up to 20 pounds of boost, it would make like 1300, give or take. I don't remember what it made, to be honest. But truly, to me, it being parasitic is the only real downside to it. So what do you guys think? Are you turbo guys? Are you supercharger guys? You old school roots blower guys? I'm sure there's a lot of you nitrous guys that hang out here, aren't there? But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing and clicking that bell. I'll see you next time.